So let's take a look at this currency question from the Junior Cert Higher Level 2012 Paper 1. We've been given a table showing us the value of €1 against other currencies on a particular day. So reading from the table, we can see that €1 would be equal to $1.4045, €1 would be equal to £0.87315, and so on. As we go through the question, we'll see that we actually don't use the exchange rates for the bottom three currencies. We're only interested in the dollars and the pounds in this question. Mary's going to America for a few months, and she changed €1,200 into US dollars using the exchange rate in the table. So because we're interested in the amount of dollars she's going to receive, we highlight the dollar amount, and it's always useful to write down the exchange rate that you're going to use. So €1 is equal to $1.4045. Underneath that, it's helpful to write down what you're trying to change. We're trying to change €1,200 into a dollar amount. Always take a quick look and see which of the sides is a bigger amount, because when we go to change our euro amount in a minute, we can see that the dollar side is a bigger number than the euro side. And so when we get our answer for the dollar equivalent to €1,200, it should be a bigger amount than €1,200. It's clear to see in this question that if €1 is $1.4045 and we have €1,200, well, we're simply going to multiply 1,200 by 1.4045 to find the equivalent dollar amount. And most people can spot this and go ahead with the multiplication. Currency questions, we're always going to be multiplying or dividing by the exchange rate. If we have the euro amount and we're trying to change it into these foreign currencies, we're going to multiply. If we've been given one of the foreign currency amounts and we want to find the euro equivalent, we're going to divide. It can be helpful when deciding whether to multiply or divide to cross multiply these figures here. So we can see that 1 times x will be equal to 1,200 times 1.4045. In this example, we're going to multiply our euro amount by the amount of dollars we get per euro. When we do this, we can see that the equivalent amount to €1,200 is $1,685.40. The second part of the question says that the bank charged 3% commission on the transaction. That means that the bank is going to keep 3% of the $1,685.40 as a charge for conducting this transaction. There's a couple of ways to calculate how much Mary got to keep. The first thing we could do is we could say, well, if the bank is taking 3% of the money, well, then Mary gets to keep 97% of the dollar amount. So if we find 97% of 1,685.40, which we can do by either multiplying by the decimal 0.97 or multiplying by 97 and putting in the percent button on our calculator, we can see that Mary gets to receive $1,634.84. So alternatively, what we could have done was we could have found the 3% of 1685.40 by multiplying by 0.03 or 3% on the calculator, which tells us that the bank had commission of $50.56. If we subtract this from the 1685.40, we'll see that Mary got to keep 1634.84, as was the case in the method outlined above. The reason why the above method might be preferable will be seen in the next part, in the B part. It's very helpful to know the amount Mary actually received was 97% of the amount converted. The B part of the question tells us that on returning to Ireland, Mary had $3,060. She changed this into an amount in euro, and the bank again charged her 3% on the transaction. She received $2,047. So we're asked to find the exchange rate on that day. So the exchange rate has changed to what it was previously. So how do we find an exchange rate? Well, the exchange rate is going to be the dollar amount divided by the euro amount. What we have to be careful of is we have the dollar amount that was changed, 3,060, but it wasn't changed into 2,047. 2,047 is the amount that Mary got to keep, which means 3% of that money has already gone to the bank. If Mary got to keep 2,047 euros, well then 2,047 was 97% of the amount that 3,060 was changed into. The other 3% went to the bank for commission, and Mary got to keep the rest. If 2,047 is 97%, how do we go and find 100%, the original amount, before the commission was taken away? Well, if we divide by 97, we can find 1%, and then if we multiply back by 100, we can find 100%. And so the original amount before the commission was taken out is $2,110.30. So to plug these numbers into our exchange rate formula, the dollar amount was 3,060. The euro amount it was changed into is 2,110.3. And if we divide one into the other, we get that the euro-dollar exchange rate on that day was 1.45. So the C part is a tricky question to get your head around. It says that David changed a certain amount of sterling into euro at the exchange rate in the table, and a few days later he changed the same amount of sterling into euro at a different exchange rate. And the second time that he changed the money, he received fewer euro. There's no commission on these transactions, and we have to write down one possible value for the exchange rate for the second transaction. What we're going to do is we're going to change the euro-sterling exchange rate into a sterling-euro rate because it's sterling that he's changing into euro. So if we line up that 1 euros is equal to 0.87315 pounds as given in the table, and we're interested in what amount of euros is equivalent to 1 pounds. If we were to cross multiply, we'd see that x times 0.87315 is equal to 1 by 1. So 1 pound would be equal to 1 divided by 0.87315. And we tidy this up and we get that 1 pounds is equal to 1.1453 euros. So this is the sterling euro rate equivalent to the euro sterling rate that's in our table. 1 pound converts into 1.1453 euros. So when David changed money the first time, for every pound sterling that he converted, he got 1.1453 euros. Well, in the second transaction, he received fewer euros. So for every pound, he would have had to receive an amount that was less than 1.1453. Now, the question asks us for one possible value for the exchange rate for the second transaction. So any euro amount that's less than 1.1453 means he would have received less euros. So to write down one possible value, we'll choose a number very slightly less than 1.1453. So we'll say that the exchange rate could have been that 1 pound was equal to 1.145 euros, which means that on the second transaction he would have received slightly fewer euros than on the first. But any number less than 1.1453 would have been valid in this question.